Ladies and gentlemen, one thing this country has never, ever done is reveal the number of school children, teachers, and staff that now have coronavirus. And I suspect they want to hide this because states don't want to be called out for reopening these schools during the height of a pandemic. So I'm not surprised that they would try not to reveal these numbers, but we know this is happening all over the place. It would have to happen, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and play this audio so that you can hear. I really believe it's a deliberate act that they are not revealing how much COVID is in these schools since they have reopened.
Morris was looking for data about coronavirus outbreaks in schools. She had a simple question. How many cases are being reported in schools? How many last spring before schools shut down? How many this summer as schools begin to reopen? She found no overall source of information, so she made her own. I put in the words school, positive, and clicked on the news tab and would search the articles from the past week or the past 24 hours, and then I would input those articles into my spreadsheet. She soon made her database public. Teachers began sharing it, and Ms. Morris started crowdsourcing, taking tips from others. She soon had entries from every state except Delaware and Vermont, but she had to find a way to verify the information. I initially started with only putting information in that had to link with a local news article. And the local news article was reporting quotes from the superintendent stating these certain things. So, I guess there is a little bit of trust in that their information is fact checked. However, once I started receiving articles from other people across the country, I started noticing that people were actually submitting their own personal anecdotes about cases that hadn't been covered by the news. And I struggled with a long time about whether I should put that into the sheet because it wasn't verified. It wasn't corroborated with an article link, but I did feel like it was important to get that information out there. So I ultimately created a separate section for unverified cases that were reported by people anonymously. And in the meantime, I've encouraged people to contact their local news outlets so that they can do some investigative journalism and see if they can find any affirmation that these cases were actually happening. I'm sure that some schools are trying to be very open and transparent about this, but do you get a suspicion that some schools are less than forthcoming? I absolutely get that suspicion, yes. Based on the anecdotes that people have sent me, there have been tons of schools that have been purposefully trying to keep this on the down low. And I understand that for reasons of privacy, but it does, I guess, sort of create a bit of suspicion in the transparency. They will tell the close contacts and maybe the staff, but then they won't publicize it any further than that. So a lot of the submissions I received were screenshots of staff emails or parent emails telling about the case, but then when I went to go find an article about it, there wasn't anything about it. Just at the moment that we're recording this interview, I'm looking at your tallies here. You've heard from 700 schools, each of which has at least one reported coronavirus case since the beginning of the summer, even though the school year is just barely getting underway. What do you make of that number? I am pretty shocked by that number. It seems like quite a lot because there are so few schools that have even opened. The schools that are open are definitely making the news and the headlines and are reporting a mass amount of cases in their schools. Have you heard from any statisticians, epidemiologists, experts of other kinds with comments or advice? Yes, actually, I have received quite a few offers for help, and I can actually tell you I am officially transitioning the project over to the National Education Association. Yeah, and so they're going to take over the project because I know for sure that I cannot keep this up at the magnitude that it's become. Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations on getting noticed that way and turning it over to people who maybe can bring some resources to it as well. Absolutely. What does all of this make you think about the prospect of going back into school at some point?
I know that a lot of schools in Kansas have chosen to delay in order to see how the numbers are working in their community, but I suspect that they were also probably curious to see what would happen in the other states that opened up in early August. And I think that it's not a matter of if we get a case at our school, it's a matter of when we get a case at our school, what are we going to do?
What are your personal feelings about going back in whenever the call comes there in Kansas?
I am anxious, but I will do what my district asks me to do, and I feel very lucky that they are a science-driven, data-informed district board that really cares about making the data-informed decision for their teachers and their students. And so I know that they will be very vigilant of the information that I have provided them and the other information in the community.
Alicia Morris is a Kansas theater teacher and the creator of a database of coronavirus cases in schools. As she mentioned, the National Education Association, which is a teachers' union, has now taken over management of the site.
All right. All I have to say is if you're going to send your kid out there, you better watch out for the symptoms because it is spreading across these schools and they don't want that information out. They seriously don't. And many of them don't want to have to face the fact that as this thing continues to escalate through the fall, they're going to have to consider closing a lot of these schools, especially in states that are considered hotspots. And there's several of them. But y'all, please tell me what you think. I still say I believe opening these schools is a huge, huge mistake. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.